The SUKU token and SUKU DeFi are not intended for U.S. persons.
What is up, Hedera community? We got Jordan Freed on the line. Myself, I'm Ian Campbell, SUKU DeFi product manager. Pass it over to Jordan to give a quick intro on himself.
Hey, everyone. If this is being viewed by the Hedera community, I think many of you know who I am. Just to reintroduce, for the past 3 years, I served as part of the founding team of Hedera and helped lead up business development as SVP of business development. It was a great honor to be at Hedera during the formative early years, focused on everything from helping to recruit a council, getting some initial adoption on the network, and driving HBAR ecosystem partnerships like exchange integrations and wallet support, and working with a lot of cool dApps in the community. Prior to Hedera, I started a VPN company, a virtual private network over in Budapest, Hungary, of all places, called Buffered VPN, which was a cool tool that helped people bypass geographic restrictions. The internet's not the same everywhere. A lot of people have restricted content they can't access. So Buffered was a tool that people used to stream the American Netflix library or access Pandora or Hulu from outside the United States, but eventually became a really widely adopted privacy service. It was actually through running that company in 2013, some guy named Edward Snowden really just dropped a bombshell on the internet and showed us all what our governments are doing with our data. And we quickly went after the whole privacy space and became big contributors to the Electronic Freedom Foundation. I'm a big believer in the right to accessing information and the freedom of information. So that's near and dear to my heart. And then, serendipitously in 2013, started getting a lot of anonymous emails from customers asking if they could pay us in this thing called Bitcoin. So in October of 2013, we started taking Bitcoin as a payment method. And that really just changed my life forever. Went down the rabbit hole, and it's been, really great. It's been a really fun journey. It's 8 years this year, and I'm now in the space full time. Excited to continue to build in this crypto blockchain world of ours.
Nice. That is quite the background. I don't have as long of a history. Just recently joined up with SUKU here about 6 months ago. Was much more of a crypto enthusiast and hobbyist for about a little over 4 years now. Kind of had that classic fall down the crypto rabbit hole moment when I learned about the technology, and just was studying nights and weekends, and then was able to join up with SUKU about a little over 6 months ago now, and am the DeFi product manager here. So and then as everyone hopefully is aware of, SUKU and Hedera are partnering up. We recently announced that we're moving our Infinite product over to Hedera, so super excited about that. And then we'll also be moving the rest of our ecosystem over there. Our Omni protocol is also leveraging the Hedera blockchain as we speak. So really excited just to start engaging these communities together and continuing to learn more about each other and continuing to grow this partnership. So so Jordan, what is HBAR Labs?
Yeah, great question. So as many know, I left Hedera at the end of last year. It was an emotional time. I mean, it's when you look at these networks, they're decentralized networks. And while I loved everything that was involved in building Hedera, I couldn't help but realize that there's a lot of things that really ought to be done in the community and be done in a very decentralized way. That's really the ethos of what these networks like Hedera are all about. So I came to the conclusion, it actually didn't happen overnight. It happened over the course of several years, believe it or not. And then after talking with my family and Manson Lehman, I came to the conclusion that I could be a lot more valuable. I'm a junkie. I'm going to be starting businesses until I die. I really just love the uncertainty, the early days of starting a new venture. So I realized, listen, my skill set it's less sitting in a boardroom pitching, Google on why they should join, although that was the pinnacle of my career and a super fun experience to do that with Azim Malik and, the BD team and, help get them on our council. That stuff's fun, but I'm less of a suit that enjoys pitching large enterprise, and realize I could be, if I just do more of what I love, which is business build, I could build some really cool products and services that could add a lot of value, not just to the Hedera ecosystem, but to HBAR and eventually the sort of general digital asset space. So I left Hedera. HBAR Labs sits inside of a new structure that we formed called Immutable Holdings. Immutable Holdings is kind of like just a mini holding structure under which we're going to do a whole bunch of things, but our core tenets are building products that increase awareness and access to the digital asset space, of course, with a strong focus on HBAR. So HBAR Labs is a sub of Immutable Holdings. What we're doing is we're developing hbar.com. We recently rolled out a wallet called wallet.hbar.com, which is free to use, and you can log in, you can send your HBAR, you can receive your HBAR after going through KYC with our partner on Fido. You can actually wrap it and then take your HBAR to the Ethereum network and use things like SUKU DeFi. So we're really excited about this. It's super early. We're in like a very early beta stage, getting lots of user feedback and lots of suggestions. But there's a fair amount of WHBAR liquidity. It's growing. We're excited about it. And you know, we're building bridges. We're big believers in building bridges to the other aspects of the crypto ecosystem. And we know that once people come back and try the Hedera ecosystem and the Hedera APIs, that they'll likely come and stay on the Hedera network long term.
Nice. Yeah, that's it. Your point on kind of interoperability I think is starting to become a big trend here in the industry, right? We're seeing Polkadot start up with their entire network. EOS is really embracing those sister chains and being able to have everything move between. And yeah, I think we're not going to see kind of maybe this, necessarily one winner. Like I feel like a couple of years ago, everyone was like, oh, Ethereum, it's just going to be Ethereum, that's it. But we're starting to see kind of this interoperability and network of chains, and yeah, it'll be really fascinating. But I agree with your point. As people start to move around, they'll find the value in specific protocols, and especially in Hedera with how fast it is and just all the great stuff that's being built on there. It's really exciting.
100%. It's funny you bring that up. Like there was a notable amount of sort of anti-WHBAR sentiment coming out of certain folks who I won't mention from the Ethereum community. And I tweeted this after, build bridges, don't burn them. It's just shocking to me how tribal people in the cryptocurrency space are. This whole space is really about building bridges. It's shocking that people sort of ETH maximalists or Bitcoin maximalists would be fundamentally against people who are building interoperability between their network and others. We're really supportive of collaborating with many different partners, many different chains. I think that's where a lot of value will come from. So you'll see a lot more of that coming out of what we're working on within Immutable Holdings.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it is fascinating. You get those maximalists that just want to kind of, just not tunnel vision per se, but yeah, just focus on what they know and what they've been building on. And I mean, obviously I think we need those people to help drive certain projects forward. But I think, yeah, I just think the decentralized ethos really is what's core here, right? Let's build decentralized platforms, and bridges between these platforms just seems like a common next step and a common evolution in the entire ecosystem.
Agreed. Totally agree.
Nice. So, okay, so how exactly do you wrap HBAR? Because I know I've been poking around your guys' site, and obviously we have wrapped HBAR on SUKU DeFi now, but was just curious about the actual process and how that works.
Yeah, it's pretty easy and pretty intuitive. You first need to have an HBAR wallet. We're not doing wallet creation ourselves just yet. So you should go somewhere else to create your Hedera wallet. You can go to portal.hedera.com, I believe still, or my HBAR wallet. But once you have a Hedera wallet with some HBAR balance in it, you can go to wallet.hbar.com. With your seed phrases and your account ID, it is secure. You can log into that wallet. After completing KYC and connecting your MetaMask extension, MetaMask is the popular Chrome extension for using Ethereum applications. What we do is we essentially pair your Ethereum public key, public address to your account with us. KYC credentials are attached to that Ethereum address, by the way. So if you have multiple addresses in your MetaMask address, you will have to do multiple KYCs, unfortunately. But we do KYC that account. We wrap your HBAR and we store it in custody with a great company called Fireblocks. We're super excited to be working with them. They've got an amazing MPC solution that we're using in-house. We also have an insurance policy on this solution. So we are insured up to $30 million on the HBAR that is held in custody while it's being wrapped, which we're super excited about. The WHBAR, less the fees. There is a fee. It is expensive to have that insurance policy and to be working with Fireblocks. So there was a notable investment that Immutable Holdings did make in just building this and taking this to market, as well as a cost to KYC all their users of it so that we are compliant with money transmission rules and regulations. But then the WHBAR shows up in your MetaMask account. And now that it's there, you can go to certain places like Uniswap and participate in providing liquidity between a WHBAR USDC pair, or go to SUKU DeFi and then participate in all the cool liquidity and DeFi type elements, lending your WHBAR, earning some deposit interest on your WHBAR with the SUKU offering, which we're excited about as well. And we hope that you guys are, sort of a leader in the space, and that once people see this asset and see what it can do, we're certainly hoping that others in the DeFi ecosystem start to roll out WHBAR support as well.
Completely agree. Yeah, completely agree. Thank you for walking us through that process. It's awesome to hear the insurance policy in place. I think insurance is such an underrated element in just literally, any type of financial infrastructure. I actually have a bit of a background in insurance. I was at a large property and casualty insurance company before jumping on with SUKU DeFi. So yeah, definitely kind of an insurance nerd in my previous existence. But yeah, it's just having that insurance there and knowing that, all right, I actually, I can move my funds over here. And there are certain times, I think, when centralization is actually helpful and actually is useful in these types of situations. So yeah, having that in play is definitely big, really, really good for supporting the community, I think, and building that trust.
Agreed. Absolutely agree.
Yeah, so maybe I'll take a second and dive in over to SUKU DeFi now that you kind of teed up what we can do with wrapped HBARs. So really quick, for those of you who don't know, SUKU DeFi is a decentralized lending protocol that's part of the SUKU ecosystem. So here at SUKU, we have two major goals. One is to increase transparency in supply chains. And so we do that by working with brands, and those brands leverage our Omni protocol to track and trace products as they move through the supply chain. So at every step in that supply chain journey, we gather data in real time and then write those proofs into Hedera. And from that, once the product has actually reached the end consumer, we attach a QR code onto the product, and that QR code can be scanned by a consumer-facing mobile app called our SUKU scanner. And when the consumer actually scans that, they're able to retrieve an entire product journey about that product. And this is pretty incredible because, let's take organic food, for example. If you go buy organic food, you don't really know actually if it's truly organic or what happened there. But if that product was SUKU traced, the organic certification could be uploaded on that product, and you could actually verify with your own eyes in real time that the product is making the claims that they say they do. And so that's kind of the first part over there. And then on the other side, our other main focus is solving supply chain financing inefficiencies, and we're doing that through decentralized finance. So we're working to engage the smallest participants in the supply chain to enable them financially by, one, rewarding them with tokens in exchange for data inputs, again, because those data inputs are very valuable to this transparency story. And then two, they can take those tokens and lock them up on SUKU DeFi to get various forms of loans. And it's pretty awesome because using decentralized finance, we can, one, remove the underwriting process in any type of loan. Two, we can offer these loans at better APYs. Typically, these individuals, if they're unbanked, they have to get interest at north of 10%, or a loan shark going for like 40 or 50%. And then the terms are fixed on those loans, whereas in SUKU DeFi, there's no fixed terms. So yeah, we're pretty excited about that solution. And as Jordan mentioned, we just launched Wrapped HBAR as the first additional market on the platform. So definitely come on over, lock up your HBAR and join in the protocol.
Super exciting.
So yeah, so that's kind of the rundown on that. So what you mentioned you're working on a lot of different things over at HBAR Labs. What else do you guys have in the pipeline?
Yeah, some of it I can't make public yet, just given that a lot of it's really proprietary to just us and what we're doing. All of it we're really excited to share, especially with the Hedera community. We know that they'll love it and that they'll appreciate it. But I'll just kind of zoom out and just talk again at a really high level. We're really excited about the digital asset, the entire asset class. We're really excited about introducing HBAR to a lot of people who don't know what it is yet, and then helping the market define where HBAR belongs within the whole digital asset class. So that for us has been something that's really been missing, especially among all this exciting talk about Bitcoin as sort of an institutional asset, something that people should convert a portion of their balance sheet into. We're really excited for HBAR to really be part of that narrative. And we think that certain things have to exist for institutions to be able to access it in that same way, in the same way that they access Bitcoin or take that sort of Bitcoin exposure. So the good news is I'll be able to share a lot more soon. We've been really busy. I will also note, I've only really been outside of Hedera since the beginning of December. So all of this I really gave up the holiday season, worked through Christmas, worked through New Year's. We've been hiring. I'm actually sitting down here in our office in Puerto Rico. Even during COVID, we've got the team showing up down here. We've been fortunate that the sort of coronavirus lockdown situation's a bit better down here in the warm weather, and Puerto Rico really got out ahead of it. Yeah, I'm really excited to be able to share with the world and the Hedera community what we've been building. And then, yeah, I think we'll be able to really share more of that probably the beginning of March. You can look to see more announcements out of us. So sorry to be a bit ambiguous and obfuscated, but I promise you it's interesting and exciting, and more will come soon.
No, totally get it. Can't release the secret sauce too early. Gotta make sure it's good to go before it gets out. Totally understand.
100%.
That's awesome. I think maybe we can talk a little bit more abstracted, because one of the points that you brought up that I've been thinking about a lot myself as well is just looking at crypto overall as an asset class. Because I think to your point, right, we have all of these cryptocurrencies, and obviously that's a very broad term, but really, right, there's the Bitcoin, which is your store of value, kind of really formalizing itself there. You have these protocols coming up like Ethereum that has more of a token that you use to actually interact on the protocol. But I think there's so much possibility when you think about digitizing a form of value that you can transfer and being able to write functions and code based off of that form of value. And I think we're just barely tapping the surface on what we can really do with these new types of ecosystems. I was looking at PancakeSwap actually on Binance Smart Chain. And one of the things that I thought was so fascinating is in their token economics, they aggressively burn, but they have an inflationary supply. And it's just like the innovation that we're starting to see on, all right, how can we introduce new asset classes and kind of switch up the models and tweak with these things here to form really just brand new products and financial innovation that we've never even seen before.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. I think if you're just kind of if you're just monitoring what's happening in the space, and I mean some historical context for those that haven't been around it for a while, it's really just a continuation of software eating the world. Software's eating money now. We kind of had the whole Bitcoin originally started as, hey, this is going to be this peer-to-peer payment thing. It never really amounted to that, but instead, like a good startup needing a pivot, the community pivoted it towards it's going to be a store of value. This is never going to be something that you're going to go buy Starbucks with or go that's going to replace your Venmo or something of that nature. But it's in Paul Tudor Jones summarized this nicely in a 6-page paper that he put out recently, that it's just objectively the best store value that the world has ever seen. And there's a bunch of reasons why: portability, trustworthiness, all of that. And I tend to agree. So the next thing that pops up around that is, well, we need sound financial services. And I think that, if you really look at where Bitcoin came from the cyberpunks of the internet, and I think a lot of really great innovation happens from there. Carmen was asking about Clubhouse earlier, and Clubhouse for me is just, the Web 2.0 embodiment of IRC, right? Remember Internet Relay Chat way back in the day, where gamers used to just sit around and talk to each other. I actually met a lot of really good friends on IRC, but that's somewhat nerdy to admit. I think that when you look at, okay, great, we have this software, we have this money, but now we need financial services for it. DeFi was obvious. DeFi was inevitable. It was going to come. And you're right, the ability to program a lot of what traditional financial service organizations have done and program those into these sort of trustless contracts that sit on these networks is a super exciting, very disruptive space. There's companies in the crypto space that, instead of saying yes to potential SPAC acquisitions, are going to look to just take themselves public through things like security tokens and offer, programmable dividends to the shareholders that hold those tokens. And all of this is just, we haven't even scratched the surface on what we're going to see in the space. So it really is. People always like to slap a year on it, right? Like, the internet's only 20, 25, 30 years old, depending on when you kind of market. But really, the wide adoption of email, let's say, if we were to kind of market there, if you were to put a year on kind of where we are in the world of blockchain, it's still like the 90s. I mean, it's still like, it's a horrible user experience for those that are actually in DeFi on some of these really congested networks. Not naming names, I think we know what we're talking about here. It's really for the rich. It's, one of my friends said the other day, like, real wealth is being able to hit fast on the gas price meter on one of these such networks. So I'd really just, I'd say that there's a lot of improvement that's going to come to it, but now we've got V1 of these applications. We really know what these things can do. It's like using an early version of DOS or an early version of an operating system. I think that the only place left to go from here is up. And I'm really excited about all the new talent, human capital that's coming to the space, that's really investing in building some of these things. So DeFi is early if you're in it, if you're working in it. Just look at the numbers in terms of like traditional asset management. When you look at where DeFi is at, I think we've got a long way to go. It's all green space from here.
Yeah. I mean, completely agree with everything you just said. It's the DeFi movement is, I mean, we've just it really picked up last summer. So yep. I mean, it's literally just started. Like we just found this new toy, and there's so much to do with it. I think I've been thinking a lot about like tokenizing different items to then be able to inject into these new financial ecosystems that we're building, because I think there's a lot of value that is unrealized. Sure. That if we start tokenizing, we can unlock value that previously didn't exist. And once you start to, we're already creating all of these new financial assets and everything. But I think also when you kind of pair that with being able to find new value that previously has not been able to be in the financial ecosystem, I mean, the possibilities really just become endless.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like going to look at CoinMarketCap back in like the really early days. If you were, I actually just like jumped onto the Wayback Machine to just kind of get like an accurate date on it. But if you were to go to like CoinMarketCap back in 2016, 2015, you'd see like these crazy low market caps, like $10 billion for the entire crypto space, or like, it was small numbers. It feels very similar to looking at where the DeFi market cap is today, where you've got Bitcoin was only in 2016, we had 6 billion in total market cap there, right? The entire space had a $10 billion market cap, Bitcoin making up like 64 64% of it. This is in March of 2016. So if you just look at traditional asset management, right? Americans alone have $30 trillion in retirement accounts. And then you look at where, by the way, none of which, if you ask a good RIA, an investment advisor, someone who's registered to advise people on how to invest their retirement accounts, their IRAs, their Roth IRAs, things of that nature, none of them really feel confident recommending a product that's not like 40 Act. So Grayscale is just a public trust company. It doesn't even meet the requirements of 40 Act. It's a 34 Act reporting company if you look at their filings. So most registered investment advisors aren't even giving their clients exposure to Grayscale. In fact, if you call Raymond James or Charles Schwab, a lot of them won't even let you buy it inside of an IRA account. They may let you buy it in a brokerage account. You can certainly buy it in a Robinhood account. But what I mean to say is a lot of the wealth that's held in traditional financial accounts isn't really pouring into the digital asset space, let alone just holding Bitcoin, not even including DeFi. So when you go to any sort of index out there today, I don't know what DeFi Pulse would say today, but I think it's probably in the $30 to $40 billion range. You really just feel like, okay, well, DeFi is where the entire cryptocurrency space was in 2016. So it's still really early there. I think it will rival. I really do think it will rival where traditional finance is. A lot of these things are starting to look like neobanks. I'm super impressed by what the team at Celsius is doing. That's not an endorsement of the app. Do your own research. Super impressed at what BlockFi is doing. Not an endorsement of the app. Go do your own research. It's really cool to see this. And then you guys have a great team that's putting together SUKU. Also, legal disclaimer: do your own research. But I think it's exciting to have this kind of innovation really happen in fintech. And I'm really reassured about it. I think the net winner of this will be the end user. Right, more competition, more compelling offerings, and I think we as users of these things are just really going to benefit in this explosion of fintech apps. DeFi is just sort of a niche within fintech. At least that's how I think about it.
No, I tend to agree for sure, and love the DYOR disclaimers. Classic.
All right,
have to. Always DYOR. No, I tend to agree because we've seen. I thought it was fascinating. So when I was in insurance, we would the entities that I would insure were various financial institutions. So I spent a lot of time working and just digging into hedge funds, private equity firms, banks, and got to really look under the hood when I was underwriting these types of entities. And to your point, the amount of wealth that is still locked up over in there, and then where we're at right now with DeFi and the potential that has to grow is just. You look at the numbers and it's kind of mind-boggling. It's almost like we haven't even started yet. We're still pre-starting. It's so early.
Agreed.
So it'll be really fascinating, I think, to see where we go through the rest of this year, and then obviously into the next couple of years after this. I'm curious, what do you think it'll take to kind of tip the curve or cross the gap as we've all heard, get that early majority adopters? What do you think we need to see in DeFi to hit that?
Yeah, so there's these watershed moments that happen in the space. It's amazing how fast we've all gone from sort of, those of us that have been in the space for a long time, gone from sort of obscure black sheep and kind of rejects or sort of outcasts. I don't think anyone in my family thought making a career in this space was a viable path back in 2013 when I started really talking about and evangelizing Bitcoin. It's amazing how quickly that has changed. It just takes a few people like Michael Saylor and Elon Musk to convert portions of their balance sheet over to the asset class before this is okay. Yeah, what Jordan does is legitimate. This is this is a real space, and I know I have a lot of friends who feel the same way, where it's just that the world is changing at a rapid clip, and I think we're again just really on the cusp of that continuing to change. I don't see publicly traded companies converting balance sheet items into DeFi apps or assets yet. I think that'll still be probably 2, 3, 4, 5 years away. I also don't see large companies yet willing to convert or actively participate in institutional liquidity providing. In full disclosure, I am investing in projects that are trying to build that bridge. I'm very excited by some entrepreneurs that are trying to build that bridge. It would make a lot of sense for your traditional hedge funds to start to liquidity provide. And when I say that, I really mean use what we have as automated market making scripts, like what Uniswap has, like what you guys have. I believe you guys have this under your hood at SUKU as well. Join, like a DeFi liquidity pool. And why wouldn't you do that? I think there's a lot of, traditional market makers, people, even market makers that are just market making in cryptocurrency exchanges today that should be participating in some of these pools. And we're not there yet. I think it's coming. I think it's going to happen really fast, probably even faster than I think. But I still think we need more time. What's the watershed moment? I think the watershed moment is just you need the Elon, right? You need that one crazy guy. It's like the video of the guy dancing at the music festival. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't, but there's like the one crazy guy that gets up and starts dancing. And everyone's like, whoa, that guy's a weirdo. He's dancing by himself. And then another person jumps in, starts dancing with him. And then before you know it, there's like 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, 1,000 people. And Michael Saylor was like the first weird dude dancing at the music festival in like a very public way. Guys converting balance sheet to Bitcoin. Elon jumps in. I think it's days before Satya Nadella. Larry Ellison, Oracle, you've got Microsoft, Oracle, Amazon, Apple starting to convert some percentage of the balance sheet into Bitcoin. We're still very much there. That's still like V1 of crypto exposure. Now that they're in crypto, hey guys, you can earn 5% lending your Bitcoin out or participate in liquidity. That's the next step. We're still in step one, right? We need more of a critical mass of institutions adopting the assets before I think they really go full on DeFi. We're still at the stage where Elon's joking about Doge. So I think let's get people to take it serious. Let's get people to hold it. I do think we're very much there. There's a lot of institutional buying right now, even that we don't know about. And as that starts to become public, probably within the next 18 to 24 months, we'll start to hear of, okay, MicroStrategy or Tesla is now lending their Bitcoin, or they're participating in some DeFi protocol where they're earning yield, or some company is converting their balance sheet into USDC and storing it with BlockFi, earning 8.6%, or someone's converting into WHBAR and earning yield in SUKU DeFi.
Yes, let's go.
It'll happen. It absolutely will happen. It sounds crazy to talk about today, but like in 18 to 24 months, that will become norm. Just like it was crazy. Like in 2013, I'd be lying to you if I thought that in 2021, people would be taking Bitcoin balance sheet exposure. I knew at some point it could possibly happen, but honestly, it just seems so radical that this like weird internet money that popped out of nowhere like 3 years earlier was going to get widely adopted. It's happening. So I think we'll get there, just not yet. I think the moment, the catalyst for change will just be the first person to do it. And my only question is, who's going to do it?
Yeah, no, that's really good insight. Really good insight. One of the things you touched on, the whole hedge fund and those those types of entities getting into the space. We've been actually starting conversations with various social impact funds, because those social impact funds they're looking to allocate those dollars right to something that provides some sort of net benefit, and they don't need that really high APY. And so we've been starting to have conversations with them about potentially getting into SUKU DeFi, getting into USDC, and then actually providing liquidity on the platform, because we could offer them that small return, and then they can give those loans to various farmers or whoever that unbanked participant is. So I think it just struck me that you touched on that, and I'm hoping we'll start to see some traction there, because I agree, those types of fund type institutions really are the ones who are seeking that alpha, right? They're the ones who have a little bit higher risk tolerance and want to go get that higher return above market return. So it seems like a natural next step for them to start dipping their toes in the DeFi pool.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
Nice. Well, This has been an awesome conversation. I think we'll probably wrap it up here. I just want to touch on a couple more things really quick for the HBAR community. Remember, you can use wrapped HBAR on SUKU DeFi right now, so definitely come on over, join us. We have a ton of ways to get involved, a bunch of campaigns to get involved and join into the fun that's happening. We'll also be looking to do some future activities together as we continue to partner with Hedera and work with HBAR Labs. Definitely super excited about all of these partnerships. So stay tuned for more announcements there. We'll be looking to do an AMA with the Hedera community here shortly. I think we're doing that at the end of this week. So stay tuned, super excited. And Jordan, it was an absolute blast talking to you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I love that you're building in the Hedera community. I love what you guys put together. So enjoy using it. I certainly will be. And yeah, definitely come check out Wrapped HBAR and come wrap it so you can use SUKU DeFi.